21, not yet 22, and I wouldn't mind dying before the light of any smile to see her cry. You said I'll give you my Vincent to write. Alright, we're on chapter 16. Welcome to Captain Party Story Time. We'll be reading our next chapter in Choke. So, here we go. The next patient is a female, about 29 years old, with a mole high on the inside of her thigh that doesn't look right. It's hard to tell in this light, but it looks too big, asymmetrical, with shades of blue and brown. The edges are irregular. The skin around it is abraded. I ask her if she's been scratching it. And is there any history of skin cancer in her family? Sitting next to me with his yellow legal pad on the table in front of him, Denny's holding the end of a cork over his cigarette lighter, turning the cork until the end is burned black, and Denny says, "Dude, for serious," he says, "you got some weird hostility tonight. Did you act out?" He says, "You always hate the whole world right after you get laid, dude." The patient falls to her knees spread wide apart. She leans back and starts to pump herself at us in slow motion. Just by contracting her butt muscles, she tosses her shoulders, her breasts, her mons pubis. Her entire body lunges at us in waves. The way to remember the symptoms of melanoma is the letters A, B, C, D. Asymmetrical shape, border irregularity, color variation, diameter larger than about 6 millimeters. She's shaved, tanned, and oiled, so smooth and perfect she looks less like a woman than just another place to swipe your credit card. Pumping herself into our faces, the murky blend of red and black light makes her look better than she really is. The red lights erase scars and bruises, zits, and some kinds of tattoos, plus stretch marks and track marks. The black lights make her eyes and teeth glow bright white. It's funny how the beauty of art has so much more to do with the frame than with the artwork itself. The light trick makes even Denny look healthy, his chickeny wing arms coming out of the white t-shirt. His legal pad glows yellow. He curls his bottom lip inside, biting it as he looks from the patient to his work and back to the patient. Pumping herself in our faces, yelling against the music, she says, "What?" And she looks like a natural blonde, a high risk factor. So I ask, has she had any recent unexplained weight loss? Not looking at me, Denny says, "Dude, do you know how much a real model would actually cost me?" Back at him, I say, "Dude, don't forget to sketch her ingrown hairs." To the patient, I ask, has she noticed any changes in her cycle or in her bowel movements? Kneeling in front of us, spreading her black polished fingernails open on either side of herself and leaning back, looking down the arched length of her torso at us, she says, "What?" "Skin cancer," I yell. "It is the most common cancer in women between the ages of 29 and 34. I yell, "I need to feel your lymph nodes." And then he says, "Dude, you want to know what your mom told me or not?" And I yell, "Just let me palpitate your spleen." And sketching fast with a burned cork, he says, "Do I sense a shame cycle?" And the blonde hooks her elbows behind her knees and rolls back onto her spine, twisting a nipple between the thumb and forefinger of each hand, stretching her mouth wide open. She curls her tongue at us and says, "Daiquiri," she says. "My name's Cherry Daiquiri." "And you can't touch me," she says. "But where's this mole you're talking about?" The way to remember every step to a physical examination is champ fast. It's what they call a mnemonic device in medical school. The letters stand for chief complaint, history of illness, allergies, medications, past medical history, family history, alcohol, street drugs, tobacco, social history. The only way to get through medical school is mnemonics. The girl before this one, another blonde, but with the kind of hard, old-fashioned boob job that you could really chin yourself on, this last patient smoked a cigarette as part of her act, so I asked if she had any persistent back or abdominal pain. She had experienced any loss of appetite or general malaise. If this was how she made her living, I said, she better make sure that she get regular smears. If you smoke more than a pack a day, I said. This way, I mean. A conization wouldn't be a bad idea, I told her, or at the very least, a D and a C. She gets down on her hands and knees, rotating her open butt, her puckered pink trap door in slow motion, and looks back over her shoulder at us and says, "What's this conization scene?" She says, "Is that something new you're into?" She exhales some smoke into my face. Sort of exhales. "It's when you razor out a cone-shaped sample of the cervix," I tell her. And she goes pale even under her makeup, even under the wash of red and black light, and she pulls her legs back together, and she puts her cigarette out in my beard. She says, "Yeah, one sick issue with women, bro," and goes off to the next guy down along the stage. And after her I yell, "Every woman is just a different kind of problem!" And still holding his cork, then he picks up my beer and says, "Dude, waste not." And then he pours everything except the drowned butt into his own glass. And then he says, "Your mom talks a lot about some Dr. Marshall. She says that he's promised to make her young again." And then he says, "But only if you cooperate." Another patient presents herself, a curly-haired brunette, about 25 years old, exhibiting a possible folic acid deficiency. Her tongue is red and glazed-looking. Her abdomen is slightly distended, her eyes glassy. I ask, can I listen to her heart? For palpitations. For rapid heartbeat. Has she had any nausea or diarrhea? "Dude," Denny says. And the questions to ask about pain are caldera, characteristics, onset, location, duration, exacerbation, relief, radiation, and associated symptoms. And then he says, "Dude, the bacteria called Staphylococcus aureus will give you staphio. Skin infections, toxic shock syndrome, abscesses, pneumonia, hemolysis, endocarditis, and osteomyelitis." "Dude," then he says, "the diseases a mother can pass to her baby are torch, toxoplasmosis, other, meaning syphilis and HIV, rubella, and cytomegalovirus, and herpes." It helps if you can picture a mother passing the torch to her baby. Like mother, like son. And Denny snaps his fingers in my face. "What is up with you? How come you're being like this?" Because it's the truth, and this is the world that we live in. I've been there, taken the MCAT, the medical college admission test. I went to the USC School of Medicine long enough to know that a mole is never just a mole, that a simple headache means a brain tumor, means double vision, numbness, vomiting, followed by seizures, drowsiness, and death. A little muscle twitch means rabies, means muscle cramps, thirst, confusion, drooling, followed by seizures, coma, and death. Acne means ovarian cysts. Feeling a little tired means tuberculosis. Bloodshot eyes means meningitis. Drowsiness is the first sign of typhoid. The floaters that you see across your eyes on sunny days, they mean your retina is detaching. You're going blind. See how our fingernails look, I tell Denny? That's a sure sign of lung cancer. And if you're confused, that means renal shutdown, severe kidney failure. You learn all this during physical examination, your second year in medical school. You learn all this, and there's no going back. Ignorance was bliss. A bruise means cirrhosis of the liver. A belch means colorectal cancer or esophageal cancer, or at the very least a peptic ulcer. Every time a little breeze seems to whisper, squamous carcinoma. Birds in the trees seem to twitter, histoplasmosis. Everybody you see naked, you see as a patient. A dancer could have clear, lovely eyes and hard brown nipples, but if her breath is bad, she has leukemia. A dancer might have thick, long, clean-looking hair, but if she scratches her scalp, she has Hodgkin's lymphoma. Page by page, Denny fills up his pad with figure studies. Beautiful women smiling, thin women blowing him kisses, women with their faces tilted down, but their eyes looking up at him through falls of hair. You're losing your sense of taste, I tell Denny. Losing your sense of taste means oral cancers. And without looking at me, looking back and forth between his sketch and the new dancer, Denny says, then dude, you got that cancer a really long time ago. Even if my mom died, I'm not sure if I'd want to go back and get readmitted before my credits start to expire. As it is, I already know way more than I'm comfortable with. After you find out all the things that can go wrong, your life becomes less about living and more about waiting. Waiting for cancer, for dementia. Every look in a mirror you scan for the red rash that means shingles. See also ringworm. See also scabies. See also Lyme disease, meningitis, rheumatic fever, syphilis. The next patient who presents himself is another blonde. Presents herself as another blonde, thin, maybe a little too thin. A spinal tumor, probably. If she has a headache, a low fever, a sore throat, she has polio. Go like this, Denny yells up at her, and he covers his eyeglasses with his open hands. And the patient does this. Beautiful, Denny says, sketching a study fast. How about if you open your mouth a little? And she does. Dude, he says, workshop models are never this hot. All I can see is she is not a very good dancer, and for sure, this lack of coordination means amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. See also Lou Gehrig's disease. See also total paralysis. See also difficulty breathing. See also cramps, tiredness, crying. See also death. With the edge of his hand, Denny smears the cork lines to add shadows and depth. As the woman on stage with her hands over her eyes, her mouth slightly open, and Denny picks at it fast, his eyes going back to the woman for details. Her belly button, the curve of her hip bones. My only gripe is the way Denny draws women is not the way they look for real. In Denny's version, the cheesy thighs on some women will look rock solid. The bagged out eyes on the other woman will become clear and toned underneath. Got any cash left over, dude? Denny says. I don't want him to move on just yet. But I'm broke, and the girl moves on to the next guy down the stage. Let's see, Picasso, I tell him. And Denny, he scratches under his eye and leaves a big smudge of soot. Then he tips the legal pad enough for me to see a naked woman with her eyes over her, with her hands over her eyes, sleek and tensing, every muscle tight. None of her looks trashed by gravity or ultraviolet light or poor nutrition. She's smooth but soft, flexed but relaxed. She's a total physical impossibility. Dude, I say, you made her look way too young. The next patient is Cherry Daiquiri again, coming back around, not smiling this time, sucking hard on the inside of one cheek and asking me, this mole I have, you sure it's cancer? I mean, I don't know, but how scared should I be? And without looking at her, I hold up one finger. This is the international sign language for please wait, the doctor will see you shortly. No way are her ankles that thin, I tell Denny, and her ass is way bigger than you have there. And I leaned over to see what Denny was doing, and then I looked down the stage to the last patient. You need to make her knees way lumpier, I say. The downstage dancer gives me a filthy look. Denny just keeps sketching. He makes her eyes huge. He fixes her split ends. He gets everything all wrong. Dude, I say, you know you're not a very good artist. I say, for serious, dude. I don't see any of this at all. And then he says, before you go trash the whole world, you need to be calling your sponsor real bad, he says. And in case you still give a shit, your mom said that you need to read what's in her dictionary. To Cherry, crouching there in front of us, I say, if you're really serious about saving your life, I'm going to have to talk to you someplace in private. No, not dictionary, Denny says. It's diary. In case you ever wonder where you really come from, it's all in her diary. And then Cherry dangles one leg over the edge and starts climbing down off the stage. And I ask him, what's in my mom's diary? And drawing his little pictures, seeing the impossible, Denny says, yeah, diary, not dictionary, dude. The stuff about your real dad. It's in her diary. Well, that is our story for today. So, I hope you all enjoyed it. And we'll see you next time.